Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
Bitcoin is still at around $6,300. Total market cap is $200 billion, and the Bitcoin dominance is 55%. Nothing really is changing these days, except maybe some moves from Ethereum and Ripple. So we'll talk about all of that, and also about how we will behave, what our best strategy will be in case we will finally make a move upwards and turn to be bullish in the next several months or something like that. You are watching Crypto Hamster channel. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's look at the price of Bitcoin at the beginning. So we were at the same area which we were before. Up to now actually a little bit correcting. So and I moved those level a bit higher, so the bottom level was a little bit lower. Now it's 6,200, and this one also I moved to upwards a little bit, because you see those are probably the false breakouts, and we touched it here several times, and now we're around it here. Maybe actually I need to push it a little bit higher as well, but anyway, something like that. So we were about to break that resistance here, but we couldn't. We touched it several times, so I thought we may even actually repeat the same movement that we had before, but we couldn't. So apparently the resistance is too strong here, so we're going down now, and probably we may touch the bottom and test it again. If we'll break it, then this scenario is pretty possible. Still, I'm holding my position about this. Still like 10 days to evolve. All of that is pretty much it's quite enough, and this is the date when everything will be decided. So if, let's say, well, I would say actually the sort of organic evolution of Bitcoin price would be that if we will not move anything like that, if we'll not do this, and actually I expected that just because we had this usual behavior of Bitcoin because of the manipulatory, speculative nature of this market. But without that, I would expect it to be more organically move up to this point with the same price range, and then eventually, if it will be like, say, negative decision, then we'll go down not that far, then return to the same area, like based on mining price and everything, and we'll continue to trade around here until the final positive decision, maybe in February, especially if it's people just postponing of the decision, or some other positive news which will move the price up, or just tech will finally move the whole market sentiment and the price as well. But I guess that we're not in that scenario. We are not in this area, not in this sort of field, and this market will probably surprise us with huge swings. So anyway, the thing is that you see we have basically two things which can happen at this point, and if it will go down, then it's the time to consider, like if it will be a negative decision, consider to be more bearish for a longer term. And then what can we do in the bear market? Basically, we can buy at the place where we expect it to be the bottom, or we can buy even lower if the bottom appear to be the just not the final bottom. So buy lower and lower and lower, try to implement dollar cost averaging technique here, and finally when it will bottom out, we can make profits on the bull area. So in that case, we can short, of course, but shorting in this market is really risky, and if you're not a professional trader, I don't think that you would be successful and you'll make any kind of profit on shorting. So I wouldn't say reckless, but I would be more careful with shorting Bitcoin and crypto assets in general. But if this market will be bullish, so it will go up from this point or from some other point, then we can actually base our strategies and different principles, and like of course you will make profit if you just buy here, but it depends whether it will be profit of, let's say, 50% or it will be profit like 500% or 5000%. And here we have like a freedom to see what can we do about our strategies. While I should just mention that while Bitcoin is still in this area, it still doesn't make much of a move. We had Ethereum and XRP made some moves. Well, Ethereum is just basically some critical point, I would say. I already talked about it before, but for XRP, I think, so maybe you've seen this picture, I tweeted in my Twitter account. So here is the XRP previous behavior, and here is another behavior of XRP this year, and I would expect it to be behaving similar eventually, so like touch the bottom of this wedge and maybe go in the lower bit of that, then the volume should pick up, and then we'll go up from that point, we'll break it, but it should be the bull area probably started from the Bitcoin. And here what we had this like 20-25% increase in price, but it wasn't really followed that much with a like constant increase of volume, so it also retraced eventually quite soon. So I wouldn't call it like change the trend, so I think we'll return back to this wedge eventually. And the reason for this behavior is that, I think, so this is just some news from Ripple, and they announced their new product, which is the xRapid cross-border payment solution, and basically it will allow the banks to use XRP tokens to for their transaction. You know that basically currently XRP is not used, so Ripple has those partnerships with many banks, I don't know, 100 banks, but they don't actually use XRP for their work. And maybe xRapid, I think it will be from next month or something, it will allow banks to finally do that, and that may be huge. So that was the reason of this announcement, was probably the reason of this price surge. But the rest of the market basically goes sideways, nothing really changed much. So now let's return the question about our possible strategies. So you know that all the coins, cryptocurrencies coins in the market can be divided into some like relative categories, and I would probably think of a few, like maybe 5, 6, 7 categories. The most interesting, most important and obvious ones is just category where Bitcoin falls to. It's falls to pure transactional cryptocurrencies, like also maybe Bitcoin Cash, right? Litecoin, and some others. But those are sort of, in my opinion, actually the best and the most catchy, the most interesting and useful application of the blockchain technology in general, at least at this point of time. The second thing is that the cryptocurrencies, the protocol cryptocurrencies for making decentralized application, like Ethereum, like EOS, like Cardano, and everything like that. Also, we have like privacy transaction coins like Monero or quasi and traceable cryptocurrencies. Also, supply chain cryptocurrencies like Walton, and maybe all you can say about the Binance coins and similar like Huobi coin, which are the cryptocurrencies related to exchanges, like trying to help them to develop, etc. So those sort of the gradation, but categories for the cryptocurrencies and different types of them. So why I'm talking about this is that, in my opinion, in the next bull run, the most profitable and I would say the safest bet for the growth would be for the first and second categories. So first is the transactional cryptocurrencies. Of course, Bitcoin will not give you quite a bit of a gain, so we need to look at different ones. And well, of course, this is XRP, right? So probably still is one of the most interesting ones, and we don't know what will happen with xRapid. It's actually one of the fastest, so the speed, the transaction per second is very important in that type of cryptocurrency. So XRP is like nearly instant, right? I would look also at one of my favorites, which is Nano. So those are pretty much instant transaction and basically without any fees required. So this, in my opinion, will be one of the biggest gainers in general, and also falls the same type. Also, I would look at Zilliqa. So they try to push TPS to really high level. Okay, well, I said about XRP, but I didn't say the Stellar Lumens also looks the same. And actually, I would mention Neo because it has the Trinity scaling solution, so which may help to make these transactions faster. So those few currencies, I think, are the best examples for that. Of course, there are like many altcoins / shitcoins trying to say that, oh, we have like million TPS or something like that, but maybe one of them will reach it eventually and will be new, like new XRP, for example, but we don't know what it will be now. Most of them, it's just like this bet will not be reasonable. So second thing about the dApps protocol cryptocurrencies is those like Ethereum, of course, right? But who knows, will it give any bigger gain? As Vitalik says, will no more 10,000 x gains for crypto. So maybe Ethereum will not do that anymore. Well, anyway, Ethereum, because like huge development team, etc. EOS, probably Cardano, but we need to like wait for maybe 1 more year or more to really be able to use the apps, I think. Then also Neo, yes, Neo, right? And so it actually falls to already 2 categories: NEM and maybe Lisk. And what else? What else we have? Icon, apparently. There's also, I think, the dApps currency. Well, I mean, it can be used for development applications. So decentralized application development. Actually, 0x also, and I would call Nulls, which is probably not in the top 100, but somewhere like 100 something, 105, 110 maybe positions. So those are the apps cryptocurrencies, which are the like second tier gainers, in my opinion, for the next bull run. And what I was going to mention as well is, so we can of course just buy currency expecting them to growth, but now when those prices are so cheap, I would say that maybe reasonable to consider, especially if you have more or less big stake of fiat waiting to be transferred to coins. Maybe it's reasonable to consider to buy some masternodes. So if you don't know what a masternode is, it's basically a huge stake of coins for the certain cryptocurrency which allow you to get additional coins just by holding them, by staking, like proof of stake. And if you hold like a huge number of coins, then called masternode, if it's constantly connected to the blockchain, and then it provides you with a much bigger profits. So like gains, right? And among the best masternodes, I think is Dash, like the most famous one. Like the yearly profit, yearly rate, I think for those masternodes was like 40% for the Dash masternode, I think. So it's not that bad. I mean, if the Dash will make huge gain, the rise during the year, it will be also increased by 40% by having this masternode. So it's interesting to consider that. Then also, yeah, you shouldn't forget that NEO also gives you free gas and this sort of thing. So except Dash, I think maybe actually Bolton Chain gives an option for the masternodes. VChain, I think, too. And I think it is Zencash, which is now Horizon. Yeah, so it's former Zencash, now it's Horizon. It's actually ranked 78, quite cheap, so I think it will give nice opportunity for the masternode price. And it was at least before the PIVX masternode. No PIVX? What do you mean no PIVX? Okay, maybe I probably missed that. So PIVX is another quite cheap but profitable masternode among the others, and you see again the price is really cheap for the coin, so it's probably like most of them, it's nice to buy it and enjoy the additional profit from the masternode. Well, don't forget that everything which I say is not commercial advice but my personal opinion. But yeah, like that. So again, for the summarize this, all of this, we have three types of, in my opinion, like profitable ways of getting biggest, fastest, and safest profits in cryptocurrencies next bull market, made already for 4 in 2018. It is the transactional cryptocurrencies like Nano and Zilliqa. It is DApps protocol cryptocurrencies like Ethereum is. I would bet for Icon actually. Yeah, I would bet Icon and NEM. Oh, sorry, yeah, NEM actually was nice. And finally, the masternodes is an option for like make it even better for the future profits. So actually, I just noticed right now that NEO fall in all three categories, which is interesting. So anyway, well, not sort of the masternode, but the guy gives you again free gas. So okay, guys, so that's it for today. I hope that you learned something, and if you really, then please consider to subscribe and leave a like, and also the comment in the comment section. And I would like to see you in next videos already from tomorrow. As usual, I do the updates every day, and hopefully we see some more Bitcoin, right? And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, right? So safe trading, have a nice day, goodbye.